while since I did my last favourites video, and as usual there's going to be a lot of art stuff, but I thought I'd start off with what I always seem to include in every single one of my videos, and that is jewellery. And the reason I've got this one on the middle finger is it doesn't fit on anything else, and I didn't want to not include it because it is a favourite. And I've got quite a few rings in the last few months actually. I've been trying, I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but I've been trying to just get gold plated and silver plated rings. I'm really sick of cheap, really shoddily made rings that turn your finger green. I just want something that is going to last, and I don't mind spending the extra money if it's good value. So I've been getting loads of silver rings. I've also been getting gold plated ones, but they haven't been so good. I've been getting a few from accessories, which is, if I'm honest, not the best place to get gold plated rings, so that's kind of my fault. And some of them have been wearing out around the ring finger and going green, which I'm not happy with, but as far as silver rings go, I haven't had a problem with them. And a few of these I got from accessories. There's these leaf rings, and what I did is these actually come in two different sizes. They're separate rings. So what I did is I got the large so that it would fit down at the bottom of my middle finger, and then a medium so it would fit further up. And then this one, which I love, it's so pretty. This one comes from Amazon, and then these little, I guess they look like kind of rope twine for the little finger and for the thumb as well. And I got some on this hand as well because I like wearing rings on my little finger, but it's just a little bit hard to find rings that are exactly that size. And actually what I ended up doing, because I've ended up buying so many rings online, what I did is I bought one of those ring measurers. And the idea is that if you need to find out the size of your finger, what you do is you just pop it on your finger and then you can adjust it, and it will show you exactly the size of ring that you need, which has been fantastic. And that's actually what ended up getting me on a little bit of a ring shopping spree, because you keep thinking, oh, it's only £8, it's only £6, and then before you know it you've bought 7 rings, and then they arrive and you're like, huh, I have some justifying to do. But it's okay because I love them and they're really pretty. And I got this one, which is in Tiger's Eye, and normally I'll wear this one on my ring finger, but for the moment ring finger is taken by this ring. And this one's in Tiger's Eye, and this one is, I can never remember the name of that black stone, onyx I think it is. I probably mispronounced that, but this one is in a little black stone, and that one's in Tiger's Eye. This one is in amber. I seem to be going through the kind of rainbow and trying to get all the different colours. Eventually I'm going to get a red amber ring, I think, and you can even get green amber, which I didn't know. Problem is it's quite expensive, so considering how many rings I've bought, I really should just stop for the next few months, even though we know realistically that's never going to happen. The next of my favourites is an art tool, no surprise, and this thing is incredible. It is so good. Normally what I'm always doing is I'm drawing with this kind of pen, and I've done a lot of the original portraits behind me, like this one that I did of Tyr, that one I did with this mechanical pencil. But then a lot of the newer ones, actually no, these ones I haven't done with the new mechanical pen, but I'll show you a drawing I did do with this. This is a more recent drawing that I've done, and I don't know how well you're going to be able to see that, but I did the whole drawing just with this mechanical pen. I mean, the level of shading that you can get with this pen is just, it's so good. It is so flipping good. I managed to do the sketches, the detail work. Obviously I still used a makeup brush for blending because I absolutely love using makeup brushes for blending. But this pen's just incredible. It's really, really small. This one, I think, the original pen that I used, I think is 0.5mm, and then this one is 0.3, I think, so it is tiny. I mean, you could stab someone with this, it's so small, because that's obviously the first thing my mind naturally goes to. What can I use as a weapon? But anyway, I got this one, and I'm still using my original mechanical pencil, but not as much. There's just so many little things that I prefer about this one. I like the weight of this one a lot more. It's slightly heavier. And this one, it's nice to have a light pen, but the nice thing about having something weighted is that if you want to do really light shading, one little trick you can do is to just kind of hold it at the very tip of your hand and then kind of wiggle it. And there's enough pressure from the weight of the pen to do this really light layer, which you can then blend out. And I really like it, yeah. So I'm hoping it hasn't completely replaced my mechanical pencil, and it probably hasn't. I mean, I'm probably in the honeymoon stage where I'm like, this is amazing, it's the best thing since sliced bread, and then in a few months I'll be like, actually this one's a little bit of other things. So I still use both of them, but this one's kind of having its moment in the sun for the moment. The next thing is a skincare cream, and I think it was about a month ago I did a review on the worst cream I've ever used in my life. It was terrible. It destroyed my skin, and I chucked it in the bin. I never chuck creams in the bin. I will always find a way to use them, even if they're terrible, because sometimes face creams are really good for leathers. If you want to bring the leather back to life and they've been really dried out, especially if their oils, got a lot of oils in them, they're really good for leather, and there's always a way to not waste stuff. This cream was so bad, I wouldn't have used it to grease the wheels on a car. It was so bad. That probably sounds really harsh, but I really hated that cream. It completely wrecked my skin. So I was on Amazon and I was trying to find something that I could get that wouldn't wreck my skin, and I was looking for something that would be really sensitive, preferably for people who have eczema, because obviously if it's made for someone who has eczema, it's trying to be really careful not to put anything in there that could cause a reaction on the skin. So I thought, my skin is so destroyed, I need to go for something that's catered toward those kind of skin types. And I came across this one, and it's from a brand called Era Organics, and it's got, let me see, aloe vera, manuka honey, what else has it got? It's also got magnesium, which is flipping amazing for your skin, coconut, tons of stuff. I mean, I've done a review on it, so I'll have a link to that on my blog post. This cream is just amazing. I put it on and it was like my skin was like, thank you. It was so good. It was so good. And I don't know how much you can, actually it's because it's a white cream, you're not going to be able to see it very well. This cream is incredible. I've bought backup. I've made my mum tell me that if I ever buy another cream to just slap me, because I will never find a cream that is better, or if I do, done. Because this thing is incredible, and I know I probably sound very ravey at the moment, but it's my favourite, so I'm going to rave about it. I've actually bought a backup, and one negative side of this face cream is it takes forever to get here, because it's sold on the Amazon in the States. They don't have one for the moment in the UK. I haven't actually tried to get anything through their website, because they do have their own website, but I don't think they sell through their own website. I think they only sell through Amazon. So what I have to do is I had to buy it from the Amazon in the States, and it took about 3 weeks to get here. It takes an age. So if you're running low, you buy backups, which is why I was buying backup, because what I've ended up doing is depotting some of it and putting it in a little travel pot. Because if I go over to someone's house, or if I'm going away for a few days, I try and bring little travel sizes of all my favourite things, like my cleanser, my moisturiser, all that kind of stuff. And I just don't want to run out of this stuff because it's incredible. It is so good. I think the smell might put some people off. You know that kind of no smell, if that makes any sense? Anyone who knows someone who has to wear eczema creams, you know that kind of smell. It tends to be unscented, because obviously any kind of fragrance will mostly irritate people who have eczema and that kind of stuff. So obviously they need to go for things that are unscented. And there's that kind of unscented no smell, which doesn't make any sense now that I've said it out loud. But that's what it smells like a kind of clinical eczema cream. But I don't really care, because once I put it on my face I can't smell it, and my skin loves it, and it's amazing, it's incredible, and I really should use it as a body cream, but I'm just scared that the minute I start using it as a body cream I'll go through it at a terrifying rate. So I'm waiting till my backup arrives, and then I can start doing that. And I've also been sent a few body creams recently that are really good, so I want to try them out and then do reviews before I start using this on like my arms and stuff like that. I'd like to keep it for my face and kind of décolletage area, because it's so good. It's good. Seriously, give this a shot. It's incredible. And I'm going to put it down now before I keep on raving. I got a few paintbrushes as well. One of my paintbrushes broke, so obviously I went ahead and bought like 12 of them to replace it. It was actually just an excuse to get more paintbrushes, but I'm not complaining. I'm doing a lot of drawing lately, so I need it. I got a few different paintbrushes. I got some of the larger paintbrushes, and this one is actually really nice for doing highlighters with the pan pastels. I like using pan pastels on, actually I don't know how well you can see Ragnar. I didn't use any of that on Knut, but I did use it on Tia, and you can see how I've done the highlighting on his skin, and I use pan pastels for that. And normally what I'll do is I'll use old makeup brushes. Concealer brushes are my favourite for that kind of thing, because it's got that firmness in the bristle so that you can work it into the paper, but then it's also light enough for you to be able to blend out at the same time. And this brush in particular, if you're trying to do that really tiny amount of light dusting on the paper and you don't want to work it into the paper too much, it's really nice. I should really keep using it for watercolours, but I think I'm going to end up using this one quite a lot for my pan pastels. And then there were other ones like this one, and I'm not going to go through all of them. There were two different sets I got. There were the grey metallic ones, which are these, and then there were the red ones, and these went for kind of medium size down to small because I love my small paintbrushes. I'm always using tiny paintbrushes just because I like doing really detailed small work. That's the bit of painting that I love. Once I put down all the basic colours and the shades, going in with like gold or a grey and just adding in all the details, that's my favourite bit. So I've always got tons of little paintbrushes and small paintbrushes to be able to do that. So yeah, I got more paintbrushes. This, I ended up getting 2 of them. I use Pro Markers a lot. I'm using a lot of them on the illustrations that I've done for the clothes for people from the Azure Oasis. I use pretty much for all the clothes that I've been drawing the concept art for Outsider. I've been using my Pro Markers. It's just so much easier. I could paint them, but it takes time that isn't really going to be well spent. You need to illustrate how the clothes look, and it doesn't have to be an incredibly ultra detailed photorealistic painting. You just need to see the colours, and Pro Markers are great for concept art, and I have a lot of them. I got these while I was in uni. I remember being so happy because one of the teachers was recommending Pro Markers, and I had a look in Hobbycraft and I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to spend like £200 to get the amount of pens that I need. So I went on eBay, as you do, and I found a full set for £80. I was over the moon. I was like, yes, money saved! And I've been using it for years. And what I finally did is I ended up getting like a kind of white sticky paper and cutting it out into circles, sticking it on the top of each pen and then colouring it in so I can see exactly what colour everything is, and then organising them. And as it turned out, I had more pens than I thought I did. So what I did is I bought these cases on eBay, and I think they were around 20, maybe £30 each. And I'm really happy that I got these, because normally what I've done is I've just got them in a drawer, and you waste so much time because you're rummaging through that trying to find a particular shade of brown. This way I can just see everything. I can open the lid, I'm like, right, I need a very particular kind of blue, a very particular type of skin tone. It's all there, it's all laid out, it saves me time, and also means things are organised. And even though I've got a kind of very messy workspace, everything has to have its place. Everything has to have a drawer that it's meant to be in, and labels, and it can be messy, but everything needs a place. So I was really happy that I could finally get cases for this. They've got these little kind of, this bit comes out completely, so if you want, you can just peel it off. There's a different kit that you can get where instead of it being black like this, you can get it so it's a kind of transparent plastic. And it didn't occur to me that these pens don't have the colours on the lids. There is another brand that I do use, which I will show you now, which is from The Works, and it's really good actually. And what they do is they have the colours at the very end of their pens. The only problem is that they're not entirely accurate. For example, this Buttercup Yellow, it's not that exact shade, which is annoying, and I can't believe they get that wrong. You are making items for artists. They are going to be picky. They are going to want that colour at the very end to be exact. So what's probably going to happen is I'm going to do the same thing that I did to these pens to these, which is annoying because it should be doing that in the first place. But anyway, the Pro Markers, they don't have that. They don't show the colours at the end of the nib, they just show it on the actual pen. Again, these colours are inaccurate. They do not look the same colour as on the outside as they do on when you actually use them. And I ended up buying 2 of these. These cases are quite interesting actually, because what they do is they just come in a little case like this. I think, yeah, you've got this little thing at the back for adding stuff. It's not really going to be useful for the spare nibs I have, but I just keep those in a drawer. It's fine for me to keep those in my bits and bobs drawer. And I really like that they've got the handles, because sometimes you might want to carry these around with you. Maybe you're going on holiday and you don't want to have to be away from your notepad for too long. So they've got this little handle here. But the other good little thing about them is that they've got a part which detaches. So let's say that you just want a few of them. There's a part in the middle which completely detaches. Now, obviously this can be a little bit interesting because maybe you want a protective case on the outside, but if I was going away for a weekend and I just wanted to take a few of these, I'd probably just take out the middle section and then pick out my favourite colours, or at least the colours that I tend to use a lot. And then you can just pop it back down in the middle. So you've got the middle here, and then you can just pop that down, fold it back up like that, and you've got a little case for it again. These are a little bit, this is kind of my spare case. That was the amount of extra pens that I had. I didn't actually count them, which was stupid. I should have counted them and then bought as many as I needed, but I didn't. And to be honest, this collection of mine is probably going to get bigger because I don't have anywhere near enough for the skin tones, and there's a few other colours that I want to get extra. I don't actually have that many reds. There's a very particular colour of burgundy red that I want to get. I don't know if I can get it in Pro markers, and I really want to try out some Copic markers because a lot of people are always asking me, you know, what's the difference between the two of them, and I don't know because I've always used Pro markers. So I'm quite tempted for Christmas to maybe ask to see if I could get a collection of red Copic markers, because then I can compare those with the Pro markers and then also with the Works markers as well. The Works ones are really cheap. I think they're 99p each, so really cheap. And then I think Pro markers are around £2, possibly £3 each. So there's quite a bit of a price difference, especially if you're buying a lot of them. At some point I might try and do a detailed review where you can see swatches of them. The Works ones are slightly less, I'm trying to think of the word for them. You know what, it doesn't matter what the word. At some point I'll try and do a comparison, but once I do the comparison I want to have some Copic markers and I want to have used them for a bit so that I can do a really good comparison of the two, and for the moment I can't. So yeah, this was another little case that I got, which is another one of my favourites. It's made things so much easier. I can just open it, have it out on my desk, and I can see all my colours, they're in order, and I don't have to fumble around in a drawer for 20 minutes before I find the exact shade of grey that I want. So yeah, that's another one of my favourites. Last but not least, I should have mentioned this one first really because it is incredible. Oh my gosh, I mentioned in, I think it was last year's Christmas favourites or something like that, I mentioned a book called Ultimate Artist's Guide or something like that, and I think anyone who's into art should own that book. I would add one more book to that, and that is this one. This is the book I wish I had in art school. It would have helped things so much. Just reading it once, things started to click in my head. I was like, ah, so that's why that particular position is completely unnatural, because that bone is like, nope, not moving that way. It is incredible. This is not the kind of book to get if you're slightly squeamish about seeing people naked, because you do see people completely naked. It is an art book. You need to know about the human anatomy, so obviously it shows all of the human anatomy. It is not the kind of book to get if you're slightly squeamish about nudity. It is very accurate, shall we say. And what I really like is they've got this little thing here where what they do is they have a photo of, let's say, the arms or the hands or the head or the neck, and then they have a transparent page which shows what the bone underneath looks like. So you can lay them on top and you can see the function of the bones underneath. And that is just so handy. It's artists. You're working with people who are visual, so that helps them visualize the anatomy that's working underneath all the muscles and the skin. And I wish I'd had books like this when I was in art school. It would have just, I would have learned so much faster, but I've got it now, so I am very, very happy. Obviously this is not the kind of book to leave lying around if you've got kind of young siblings or something, because they might find that a little bit shocking. But it is so good, and the photography, and another thing that I really like is that they've got a wide variety of models and different figures as well, because a lot of anatomy books, what they tend to do is they'll tend to get a girl with one very particular body shape. There's obviously loads of different kinds of body shapes. You get some girls which have got very narrow hips and very wide shoulders. You've got some girls which have very small waists and wide hips. There's all these different body shapes, and you need to be able to understand how the bone structure works underneath and how they look. And there's a tendency in a lot of anatomy books to go for a kind of fashion model figure, which is a figure. Some girls have that figure. Not all girls have that figure, and you need to be able to draw these different body types and understand how they look underneath when there's no clothes, when there's clothes on top of it, how it's going to fall. And with a book like this, when it shows all these different kind of body types and the way the bones work, male and female, it makes it so much easier for an artist to understand how the body works. So I love this book. I cannot recommend it enough. It is absolutely fantastic. This and I can't remember what it's called, The Complete Artist's Manual or something like that. I'll put a link to it down in the description book. Those are two books, along with some of the James Gurney books. Those are pretty essential. I might try and do a video at some point on kind of what I think are essential art books. If you're trying to learn or if you're trying to improve on what skills you currently have. I might do a book at some point, not a book, I might do a video at some point all about what I consider are the best books I've ever bought as far as art goes, and books that help me kind of slowly improve and get to the next level. This is definitely one of them, so yeah, I cannot recommend this book enough. So yeah, those are my favourites. I hope you like them. There were quite a few art things, but then it's to be expected. I'm having to do a lot of drawing lately, which is awesome. I am not complaining. Just being able to sit down and draw for 6 hours straight is just the best feeling ever. Honey tea on the side, pencils everywhere, an absolute mess, and it's delightful. So yeah, I am really enjoying it. Actually, one thing that I almost forgot is I got these tiny little studs, which I don't know how well you're going to be able to see these. For some reason, I don't know why, I got a second piercing. I think it might be almost 2 years ago now. I always wanted a second piercing. Actually no, it wouldn't be a year ago, it was about 1.5 years ago I got a second piercing, which I think most of you already know. But the weird thing is that the second piercing, it closes up really fast. If I have earrings out for even 2 or 3 days, it's going to start closing up. And it's also really sensitive. The first piercing that I got, I think I was about 12 when I got my first piercing. I can put any old rubbish in that. I can get the cheapest earrings you can imagine and they won't have any problems, but the second piercing, it closes up really fast. If I don't have earrings in there for, 3 days, it will start closing up and then I'll have to kind of pop the earring through, which isn't the most comfortable thing. And it's also really, really sensitive. It can't take anything with nickel, anything like that. It has to be gold or silver plated. So what I did, because I've already got a little gold plated stud that I got from my great aunt when I was, 8, and I had to wait a few years before I could wear them, but those are like my gold plated studs. I love just wearing studs on the second piercing, and then I have a dangly earring on the first piercing, but I finally got these really plain little silver studs, and they're lovely. I haven't had any problems. They're comfortable to sleep in, and that's a biggie, because I hate when you're lying down, you've got your head on the pillow and the earrings are just kind of stabbing the side of your head and you're like, how am I meant to sleep like this? And you end up having to take them out, and whenever I take them out, I wake up in the morning, I try and put them back in and it starts to close up again and I have to push it through, and it's quite painful and I hate doing it. So I've been trying to find earrings that I wouldn't have that problem with, and I don't have that problem with those. So it's actually, I think, the same seller that I bought the sun ring from. So yeah, I'm very happy with these and with my rings, of course, and all my other favourites. If you want links to all of these, I'll have links to them on my blog post as well, and I'll try and link everything that I've mentioned in this blog post as well. Hopefully I won't have such a massive gap between my next favourites, and since Christmas is coming up, I'll probably have another favourites pretty soon. I'm going to try and do a Christmas gift guide for art themed stuff. I might do one for makeup, but I'm not as I don't have as many ideas for a beauty themed Christmas suggestion list as I do for art stuff. I like makeup, don't get me wrong, but I like drawing and art a lot more. As far as I'm concerned, the two kind of go together, so I might do a video all about art themed stuff. Yeah, and maybe some of you guys will like it. But anyway, that is my favourites video. I hope you liked it, and I should have another video for you soon.